Ireland in the time of St. Patrick was a land of mystical beauty, just as it is today. But the spiritual world of people in St. Patrick's time, the 5th century, was a land of deep enchantment. By enchantment, I mean that people of that time perceived spiritual realities, powerful realities, both good and evil, just beneath the surface of daily life. So for St. Patrick and his companions, the shadow side of that thin world, that spiritual world, was a place of druids and witches and wizards, evil spells and incantations, potions and the evil eye. And all of these shadow forces of the world of St. Patrick represented things that people could not understand, realities that affected their life that had no visible meaning to them, and fears that they carried with them. Now, we modern people might think that the spiritual world that we inhabit is a long way from St. Patrick's. But in a time when a contagious disease seems to threaten our communities, we may find ourselves thinking dark thoughts. And for many people, this is when their fight-flight mechanism will kick in, and this leads to all kinds of irrational behaviors like hoarding or deep-seated prejudices and hatreds to bubble up. Indeed, during a time of epidemic, human beings often are not at their best. So I ask myself, what is the way that St. Patrick practiced his faith during this time of uncertainties and fears? A beautiful poem ascribed to St. Patrick, I think, captures what faith can mean to us today in its simplicity. It is called St. Patrick's Breastplate. The poem goes, "I bind unto myself this day the strong name of the Trinity, by invocation of the same, the 3 in 1 and 1 in 3. I bind unto me this day forever by power of faith Christ's incarnation, his baptism in the Jordan River, his death on cross for my salvation, his bursting from the spiced tomb, his going up the heavenly way, his coming at the day of doom. I bind unto myself this day." This poem is powerful and visceral, nearly a creed in itself. And it speaks most of all of a God who is benevolent, who is always good and wants what's good for his children. And we also know that this God has created a creation which, yes, now is broken, but one day will be returned to the wholeness that God intends. This faith for us can be like it was for St. Patrick, a breastplate. Something that reminds us of God's protective hand and loving grace, even in the time of fear and anxiety.